The meat case is a cow aisle. Beef, pork, chicken. Sometimes a lamb if the store is showing off. You walk past 100 horses in a field and never look for their steak. That is not because horses are inedible. People eat them. France still sells the cut. Italy still stews it. Japan still serves it raw. Almost none of it if you are an American grocery buyer. Here is why we don't eat horse meat. In the part of that sentence that is a pet story. We eat the cow. We skip the horse. Same store. 2 large mammals. Only one of those jobs got a tray. This is not a disgust video. It is a factory video. And the factory picked the animal that turns grass into Tuesday. A cow is a converter. Grass and grain go in. Muscle comes out. You steal the muscle. The plant already caught the sunlight. The cow parked that energy in a body you can stand next to. That conversion is the whole invention. The animal eats what we cannot digest or what we can grow cheap. She has already stored the product. A horse is not a converter first. A horse is a worker. For most of the time humans kept horses, the job was pull, carry, ride, and fight. The meat was what you ate when the worker was done or when a city was starving. The steak was never the skew, the work was the skew. A cow is a ruminant. She ferments grass up front, then she can steal the microbes too. She extracts more from a mouthful of hay. A horse is a hindgut fermenter. The fermentation happens late after the best of the meal has already passed. She can eat more to keep up. She cannot beat the cow on a pound of grass turned into a pound of meat. On grass hays, cattle digested a lot more of the fiber, on the order of a third more, sometimes almost twice as much. That is not a taste test. That is a bill. Horses convert grass into meat less efficiently than a ruminant. In the West, they are not usually bred for the tray. They are poor converters next to cattle. You are not looking at a secret steak. You are looking at an expensive engine. A dairy cow also leaks milk. A horse does not. You pay years of hay for a body built to run, not to finish in 18 months like a steer. The livestock industry is not hiding a horse tray. It is selling the first conversion. The horse was never the meat SKU, so why does the title feel like a food taboo? Because people assume the answer is pets. That is part of it. In the United States, the horse is a companion. You name it, you ride it, you do not put it next to the chuck roast. California voters made that feeling into law in 1998. Texas already had a 1949 statute against selling the meat. Illinois closed the last plant in 2007. The pet story is real. It is not the whole story. Horse meat is not poison. People who have tasted it call it sweet, lean, closer to beef than to venison. That is an acquired plate in some places and a normal plate in others. It is not a biohazard stamp on the species. If taste were the whole story, we would have a boutique horse next to bison. We do not in an American store. Taste lost to the factory, and then the factory lost to the companion. The exceptions prove the meat. France legalized horse as food in 1866. The first specialized butcher opened in Paris. Cheap protein for people who could not afford beef. By 1913, Paris alone had about 300 of those shops. During the siege of Paris, about 70,000 horses were eaten because the city was blockaded and the horses were eating grain people needed. After the war, the taste stayed. The French called it the beef of the poor. Then cars replaced horses, the supply shrank, the price rose, and the Tuesday faded. Italy never needed a siege to keep the plate. Veneto has been eating horse for a very long time. Apulia still stews it. Sardinia still cures it. Italy has been one of the world's big eaters of the meat. Japan serves it raw. Basashi, thin slices, soy, ginger. Kumamoto is the famous plate. The documented spread is Meiji kitchens, then post-war shortages, then restaurants by the 1950s. The raw plate is not a dare. It is a regional SKU. The top producing countries still process on the order of 4 million horses a year. The species is edible. The American Isle is the exception, not the rule. Wartime is the ugly receipt. Napoleon's surgeon told starving troops to eat the cavalry. The Second World War put horseback on European tables. When the factory fails, the worker becomes dinner. The United States did not hide a horse meat industry. The plants still open in the 2000s were exporting. The domestic tray was already empty. About 90,000 horses went through those plants in 2005, about 100,000 in 2006, 3 plants, 2 in Texas, 1 in Illinois, then the states closed them. Congress did the other half with a budget line. Starting with the fiscal year 2006 agriculture bill, federal money could not pay pay for the inspections horse meat needs. The plants tried to buy the inspections themselves. Courts and state laws shut the doors in 2007 anyway. The funding ban stayed through 2011. It dropped for a couple of years. It came back. No American grocery tray returned. The horse was a worker first. That is older than the ban. American farms peaked at about 27 million horses and mules around 1918. By 1960, about 3 million. The tractor ate the job. About a quarter of the country's cropland had been growing feed for work animals. The engine freed that land for people. The surplus horse did not become a national stake. Only a small share of the disappearing farm horses went to inspected plants, and a lot of that meat was for dogs. The factory was not built. Could we invent the factory? Europe already did in pockets. You would still lose on conversion, on calendar, and on a cheaper neighbor in beef. A steer is paid to finish, 18 months, maybe 2 years, and the truck leaves. A horse is paid to last, years of hay. A body built for speed or pull, not for cheap muscle. Even a perfect barn would be farming an engine, not a converter. American horses make the paperwork worse. They are not raised as food animals. They get medicines a beef steer is not allowed to carry. That is why a leftover riding horse is a bad grocery input. Kindness is not the blocker. A taste test is not the blocker. The blocker is a worker that costs more than a cow to turn into Tuesday. The grocery word meat hides that split. One word, 2 jobs, a converter animal and a work animal. The aisle only pays the first. If a store ever stocked a horse steak, it would still lose the Tuesday test. Too much hay per pound. Too long a clock. A companion story that already won the vote. France already ran that experiment. Then the car and the Tuesday left. If the tray does not say horse, it is not a cover-up. It is the species we could actually farm. Why don't we eat horse meat? We could in a siege, in a French shop, in a Kumamoto kitchen. We do not in an American store because the horse was never a factory. We eat the cow, we skip the horse. That sentence sounds like a taboo. It is a hindgut, a work calendar, and a companion that won the aisle. The meat case is still full. The horse tray is still missing. That gap is not a mystery. It is a converter. Once you see the 2 jobs, you cannot unsee the missing steak.